Well, the breaking news is obviously that the impeachment has just voted. 10 Republicans ended up voting to impeach Trump as well. There was one Democrat, believe it or not, I forgot her name, but she did actually come out and say, I'm completely opposed to this. The double standard we saw with the Black Lives Matter protests cannot be ignored. I'll display her photo here, guys. And, credit to her, calling out her own side, didn't vote with them. Good on her. That's great. That's what we want to see more of. And we know that there's people of conscience on both sides. But the problem is courage, and we'll come to that later.
It's a good quality of the US system, though, that they are not, as we discussed last week, they're not entirely bound by their party rules. They are more bound to their constituency.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that freedom that they have, that our politicians... Well, they have it. They just don't have the courage to use it.
And for those of you that don't know, in the House, they are more susceptible to being voted out than the Senate. In the House, that's why we saw so many more House representatives where Nancy Pelosi is, guys. A lot of Republicans spoke up against impeachment as opposed to the Senate because it's just a different system. They're more vulnerable. They're up for re-election every 2 years rather than, I think, every 4 years as a senator. But in the lead up to this, the Democrat leadership were really pressuring Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment. And for those of you who don't know, that removes the president from office for a number of different reasons. I think treason is one of them, being mentally unfit, which is the only time it's been used in the past, mentally unfit for past presidents, I think on 2 occasions. But Mike Pence came out and said, I will not yield to efforts in the House of Representatives to play political games at this time, so serious in the life of our nation. Now, he obviously put a letter out about this, and it was making it pretty clear. In fact, it was actually really brutal. A lot of people don't hear this, but Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the leaders of the House and then the Senate, they also, they actually tried to get a hold of Mike Pence's office, and he kept them on hold for 25 minutes. And then his aide said, the vice president will not speak to you. So it was pretty brutal the way they did it. But it's not going to happen, the 25th Amendment. The other options the Democrats have is, as we've seen in early 2020, impeachment. So they're going to try, they did impeach this morning, we heard. 10 Republicans, as I said, also voted to impeach the president. They need a majority of the House. I think there's 535 members of the House where Nancy Pelosi is, and a majority of those did vote to impeach Trump. Then that progresses to the Senate. You need 2/3 of the senators. There's 100 senators there. You need 2/3 of them to vote to impeach, to remove Trump from the presidency, which would take effect immediately. I don't think the vote's that's gonna get to that. In fact, as we saw, a second impeachment is highly likely. However, being removed from office probably won't happen. In fact, the Republican majority leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, said that he will not rule on removing Trump from office until after he leaves office, and inauguration day happens on the 20th. So we've got an interesting question. What happens if Trump gets convicted by the Senate and he's out of office? Well, all it does, he doesn't go to prison. All it does is it means that he just can't run again. So they are trying to get this done. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they've got 14 Republican senators who are willing to put their name to impeach Trump and remove him from office. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But we'll see. As Riccardo said last week, maybe somehow it'll be overturned.
Well, what's interesting is people asking the question, with 12 days to go, less now, what is it?
It's about
6 days to go?
6 working days, yeah.
Yeah, 6 days to go. Why bother impeaching Trump? And it's a great question. A couple of reasons have been suggested for it. The Democrats are terrified of what's going to happen if pedophile Joe and his administration don't get inaugurated. Why do they want to get rid of Trump so urgently? The answer might be found in some of the statements that are going across the media there, along the lines of getting rid of Trump is the first part of the problem. Now we have to purge the movement that he leads. And so this is the media deciding that anybody that supports Trump is a non-person and they have to be purged. And so this is a real problem. They're showing their hand. It's got nothing to do with Trump being unfit for office. We know it is a game, but they are after everybody that doesn't think like them. They need everybody in lockstep. And the Trump movement, and it's no longer the Republican movement, because the Republicans have shot themselves in the foot. We've seen that from Pence down.
Oh, yeah.
The last few days have revealed the traitors within the organisation. In fact, even Melania, Trump's chief of staff, bolted, left early, didn't even stay to help her finish out the term. And so this revealed to Trump and everybody else who was on side and who was not. But the point is, the larger point is why they want to do it. And they want to purge the US of anybody that thinks outside the communist model that the Democrats now represent.
Yeah. These Republicans are going to get primaried, and they will go. As I said before, in the House, they're very vulnerable to being primaried. Every 2 years, they're up for re-election. And these 10 Republicans that voted to impeach Trump, they're gone. In my mind, they're gone. In the next 2 years, they'll be gone.
And that's really cool, because that's what you get when you have an elected representative who is responsive to the people, unlike here.
Yeah.
When you can be sacked by the electors, that's the way to go. The government has to be scared of the people. That's when you have representative government. Just as an interesting sideline to that, and we'll come back to what you're talking about, but Mick Fuller, the Commissioner of New South Wales Police, apparently said, and I have to check this out, he said it's good when the public are scared of the police. Now, if he didn't say that, I'll let you know next week, but I had to drop it in now. He actually said it in relation to the arrest of an individual woman who was protesting. And it's good when the people are afraid of the police. Well, Mick, if you didn't say it, I apologise, and I'll correct it next week. But if you did, mate, you're in for a real shock, because you should be scared of the people, because they hire you and they pay you.
That's right.
So I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope he meant respect the police.
But yeah, when the elected representatives are responsive to the people, that's a very good thing. That's when you get real control by the people of the government.
Coming back to, and it is rooted in facts. 80% of Trump voters, which is 76% of the Republican Party, they're basically the Republican Party, said that they're less likely to vote for lawmakers who vote for impeachment. So, as I said, you guys are going down. If you think that the Republican Party, like Mitch McConnell does, can be purged of the Trump supporters, that's a Republican Party. You're going to have a party that represents literally 5 to 10% of the party at most if you purge the Trump party. That's what it is. It's a Trump party. But we'll see how that develops. That'll be very interesting as things go forward. Donald Trump, in response to all of this is before he got impeached for the second time. By the way, no president has been impeached twice before, because in the past they didn't misuse impeachment and just waste time. But anyway, before this, Trump said, "Free speech is under assault like never before. The 25th Amendment is of zero risk to me, but will come back to haunt Joe Biden and the Biden administration. As the expression goes, be careful what you wish for." And this comes off the back of many of my warnings that I've issued, saying that Nancy Pelosi, she passed this act last year, legislation basically to appoint a council to assess the president's mental health. Who do you think that's going to be used on? Because it doesn't come into effect until after Trump leaves.
There you go.
So Joe Biden, watch out, son. Kamala Harris can appoint whoever she wants with no election as a VP if she does this.
What's interesting about this statement is it's the first time that Trump has actually used the words Biden and Biden administration. So this could be a telling statement by Trump, but we'll see.
We will see indeed. As I said before, guys, the National Guard has been called out to secure Washington, D.C. This is and the Capitol. This is some photos of them sleeping in the Capitol. There haven't been photos like this really since images of the Civil War paintings that we've seen, and it's very. Why are they there? Well, there's worries that there's going to be more violence into the future, and Donald Trump has endorsed this, the National Guard coming out and encouraged them to secure the state, basically.